Hello people of YouTube, I'm John, and today we have a product spotlight of a locomotive from Atlas. So let's go over to the workbench and take a look. Alright, so here's what we're looking at today. This is an HO scale ALCO C424 locomotive. This is made by Atlas, and it's in their classic line. So this is one of their older toolings, and they've done some updates to it recently, including some better painting and better printing. And we're going to take a closer look at that. Before we do, I want to mention that the DCC ready version of this model comes for $169.95, and the DCC equipped model comes for $279.95. And that has an ESU Loksound version 5 decoder in it. And there are various road names and road numbers available, including undecorated versions in both the DCC ready and the DCC installed versions of this model. So your best bet would be to go to Atlas's website and see if they have what you're looking for. Alright, so looking at the side view of this model on the engineer side, you can see that it's a pretty sharp looking paint scheme with the yellow and the black, and the Erie Lackawanna logo on the side is particularly nicely done. And then you can also see that the handrails are very straight. One of the things that Atlas does with their locomotive models is they pack them in the box using two screws that go into the bottom of the fuel tank, and the result is that it holds the model in place, and they don't have to put foam inserts along the side of the model because there's nothing to push up against this rail. So just saying, it's a pain in the butt to take them out, but it's a very good packaging design because I've never seen an Atlas model come out of the box with damage or bent handrails. So also you can see the radio equipped logo up here is nicely done as well. And looking at the front of the model, you can see that it has separately applied wire grab here, and the sand fill hatch also looks particularly good. It looks like the class lights are painted, so I don't think those are operable. But you can also see that there's MU cable detail, and I like how it's tucked into the, I don't know what you call this little piece here, but the MU cables are tucked into that, and I'm guessing that's probably a ALCO thing. Also, you can see the curved rail or grab here on the corner of the engine. That's pretty cool. And then the drop step detail is a molded plastic piece, and it's permanently in the down position, but it looks really good. And it's really hard to tell, I think, on this model because it's black and the detail that we're looking at is black on black, but there's also cut lever detail. So there's a lot of detail there, and I don't know how well it's turning out on the camera. I've got all my lights on and everything going here, but black on black is always a challenge. Okay, and looking at the front end from this angle, you can see the horn castings, a separately applied 3-chime horn. I'm expecting that to have an interesting sound, considering one of the recent ALCOs that I spotlighted here on the channel had some comments about the horn. We'll see what this one is when we run it later. But I do want to mention that there are cab figures in this locomotive that are in there. You can see the conductor guy inside, and they are painted cab figures. It comes like that, which I've mentioned this before on another product spotlight, that some people think that you shouldn't have cab figures because a lot of times you'd have a locomotive that's not in the lead, right? Because you would MU locomotives together, and most of the locomotives, especially on modern prototypes, don't have cab figures in them or shouldn't have cab figures in them because they would be MU units with no one driving. So it's always an interesting sort of conundrum. I like the fact that Atlas puts the cab figures in, because my thinking is if you want to MU this with another locomotive, it'll just look cool, and most people wouldn't care or notice if there are cab figures in the one that's MU'd. So, just saying. Alright, so looking at the fireman side, you can see the details about the same. The printing of the logo and the radio-equipped logo down here is all very nicely done. And if I tilt it up, you can see the detail in the trucks. These are nicely done Blomberg trucks. And you can also see that there's some extra detail with the air tank here. Pretty cool. A look at the rear of the model reveals very similar detail to what's in the front, including separately applied thin wire grabs and drop step detail, uncoupling lever and MU hose detail also present on the front. And something I'm finding kind of interesting that you can see from here is that this is notched out right up in here. That's pretty cool. And you can see that the ladder goes right up in there, and the rear headlight is also recessed in that little notch. That's pretty cool. And while we're looking at the rear detail from this angle, I just want to mention that I'm enjoying the way the paint is yellow on this part, but not on this part. And the same goes for the rail that goes up on the side of the locomotive there. Something about that appears really sharp to me. And while we're at it, you can also notice that the wire grabs on this part are black, and up here they're yellow. So that's also pretty cool. I mean, it would be easier for them, I think, to just make it all yellow or all black. That's a pretty interesting touch. So looking at the top of the model, you can see that the radiator detail and this walkway are all molded, but it's done in a way that gives the illusion of depth. And the same can be said for these other grills up in here. They look like they have some depth, even though that is all molded detail. So, and again, you know, this is black on black, so it's not that easy to see what I'm seeing with my eyes in person. But I think overall, though, it presents a surface or surfaces that, when weathered properly, will give you a very good illusion of depth. All right, so you know it's always my favorite to run the locomotive during our spotlight. So let's fire it up and see how it does. So like most of Atlas's HO scale models, this has a 5-pole skewed armature motor, and that's why it's able to crawl like this. It's very good low speed capability. And the volume's pretty good on the speaker. It doesn't sound distorted at all. Very good. Okay, so let's take a look at the headlights. They're directional, and Atlas uses gold and white LEDs in their models. They come on with the F0 key, and as you can see, the number boards come on with the lights. So like I said, the headlights are directional, and when you put it in reverse, the rear headlight comes on with the number boards. And I don't know about you, but I think these number boards look particularly good. I think Atlas has done a really nice job with this locomotive. Not only does it have a really crisp and clean looking paint job, but it runs really well. And there's something about the sound in these Atlas locomotives that are DCC equipped with sound in DCC that, I don't know, I think that their speaker enclosures must be better than some other companies because they always sound very clean to me. And this model was no exception. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.